Hi everyone, Sasha from Zero G Capital, back in Denver from Las Vegas at the Consumer Electronics Show. This is a show that I've tracked pretty closely for probably 10 years, read a lot of live blogging, a lot of content from CNET, just like tried to consume as much information as possible. Mike suggested that we go there this year, so we went. And I've got some pretty big takeaways. Told a lot of people that I'm going, so I wanted to report back what I saw. First, my feet hurt, and I saw a lot of junk there. So I'm good with not going back for 2+ years. Um, but I also saw some really cool stuff, and I saw what I think are a couple big trends. Um, I asked a lot of people how this year's CES was relative to previous year's CESs, and they said it was a lot smaller because some Chinese companies pulled out. And I have a Chinese friend who said that numerous executives from Chinese tech companies are worried about being arrested. The CFO of Huawei was arrested in Canada, and then I believe Chinese authorities responded by arresting 10 plus Canadian tech executives in China, and I think a lot of Chinese are worried about retribution in the United States. So apparently they didn't show up. I didn't know that. It just came from a friend. So just kind of like one interesting geopolitical thing. So the biggest thing to see there was automotive tech, and I think that was by far the highlight, and all the cascading effects of the automotive tech there. So let's be clear. Tesla's Model 3 outsold, I think, every BMW sedan in, I think either every car in its class or all BMW sedans combined, some big number. So I think that all the automakers and their suppliers are spooked. They're trying to catch up, and everyone's scrambling to get to where Tesla is or is going. That includes, well, Waymo and Uber are probably close, and then all the traditional automakers and some of the car rental companies, they're all trying to get there because their business models are about to get blown up. So this has a lot of downstream effect, and that was really kind of what intrigued me the most, because the biggest two things that they need is IoT connectivity. They gotta capture a lot of data and then send that data somewhere. And then the second thing is machine vision. So using software to detect objects in photos, like a motorcyclist in the street or an animal in the street, requires not that much computational power, but that's just a single photo. So if you think about a video camera, like my iPhone records 30 frames a second, and if suppose you've got 8 cameras, now you're taking 240 photographs a second, and each photo needs to be scanned with an algorithm that's detecting, is this object moving towards me, away from me, what is this object? So at that level, it requires a tremendous amount of computational power and some AI to understand what it is in cars. So all the chip manufacturers are making specialized chips to assist with that machine vision. Seems like there's been a lot of advancement in the algorithms that are used to do that. So watch this robotic ping pong trainer that I recorded. Here's the same tech that's being used to record widgets into packaging.
Someone kept tripping the safety.
This is a lower cost competitor used using this tech to stack a grocery shelf. So machine learning is the missing element that will enable robots to do the little fidgety things that humans are doing right now. And I think that that's being channeled to us by way of autonomous vehicles. And we talk a lot about autonomous cars in the future. So we talk about Tesla, Mercedes got this cool concept. But I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of aftermarket support for cars on the road today. support for various driver's assistance. So it might not be like fully autonomous or anything like that, but things that'll stop your car from rear-ending people, alert drivers when they're not paying attention, or if they ever fall asleep at the wheel, maybe pull over, or if someone's having a medical condition like a seizure. I think that there's going to be a lot of aftermarket upgrades that are going to be affordable for people to spend $1,000 on their car and get a lot of the latest safety features. And then dash cams are commonplace, so I think cameras are everywhere on the vehicles, and that's a little bit of a hint about an investment Zero G Capital is about to make. I think that wearables are an important topic to discuss. They weren't a fad, but it seems like they're mostly gone, but because the big brands have really extracted most of the value, or are extracting most of the value, the big brands being like Apple and Fitbit, and some other, Garmin's making like a watch app. But I think wearables, including vision, are going to continue to grow for really narrow use cases. So imagine you are a technician who is working on a robot or any kind of electronics on site. Can you get some augmented reality layered on top of what you're looking at to give you live instructions on where a certain wire needs to go and things like that? I think that's coming. I saw a really interesting company that makes little sensors that attach to people's underwear for them to track and treat COPD outbreaks by measuring their breathing. Now, you may think this is silly. These guys have over $10 million a year in sales now, and they want to be prescribed by doctors. So older folks aren't wearing Apple Watches, but if particularly for women, these are kind of like disposable. They're washable. You can stick it on the inside of a bra, and then it'll actually measure your breathing. So pretty interesting. Now, those wearables, they really became enabled by low energy Bluetooth. Without highly efficient energy wise Bluetooth antennas, none of this would be possible. So I think that now, outside of wearables, this low energy wireless tech is being utilized for all sorts of other IoT devices. And they're giving up on kind of like this idea of rechargeable batteries, because the devices consume so little energy that you can have a battery inside that's relatively inexpensive, and the device is disposable. The battery outlasts maybe the usable life of the device itself. So imagine something that allows you to track things for shorter distances, like 10 meters, where you might want to track valuable equipment on a construction site, something like that. So like narrow use cases like that I think will make business more efficient, but not 100% clear where yet. Microsats are taking advantage of this, and they're going not Bluetooth, but microsats are taking advantage of other waves of low energy communication. So I think in the future it's going to be a lot easier to track things at much greater distances, not kind of that 10-meter Bluetooth, particularly in remote areas where there's no terrestrial wireless network that exists. Next really cool trend that I saw there was curved TVs. Now, I'm sure everybody's tired of talking about TVs, but this display at LG was really breathtaking. I think that more people stopped at this thing than I'd seen stop at anything else. I remember watching an interview with Bill Gates at least 10 years ago where he said, well, screens are eventually going to be foldable. The limiting form factor with screens is that they're small, but if you kind of like unpackage them like an old map, then you could do whatever you wanted with a pocket-sized device. So I saw foldable screens there, but it seems like they're not really gaining traction. But LG had this display with where the TVs would coil inside of a box, and it was beautiful. Paneling, and here's why I think that's important. I think that these screens, they're super energy efficient, they're razor thin, and they're gorgeous. So I think you're going to want to hang these on your wall in your office, at home, and it's not to watch TV. I think this is going to be art. Because it's stunning, and I think that this is going to replace buying paper paintings and maps and framing them. You're just going to buy an 8K TV, and it's going to cycle through your favorite artwork. So not seen at CES, but I think that's also going to enable non-fungible tokens on blockchain tech, right? So if you want to have exclusive piece of art, and you want to know that no one else has this digital image besides you, you'll be able to do that with the tokenization of artwork and validate that you have an authentic piece that's exclusively yours and no one else's. CES is huge, so I feel like I walked two marathons worth over 2 days, and I don't know that I saw much more than half of CES. There's a lot going on all over the strip. But based on news reports, based on what I saw, I think really it's machine vision that is going to enable a whole lot of other technologies, but that's really driven by automotive. I think that curved TVs are going to make a big impact in how we interact with screens in our day-to-day life. It's no longer just going to be a TV. And we're going to be a lot more connected, and our devices are going to be a lot more connected using microsats and very energy efficient communication protocols. Would love to talk about anything that you saw at CES, and as always, any good investment opportunities. Bye everyone.